Gentlemen. Okay, I got 6 o'clock. Is everybody ready to go?
Ready to go.
Ready to rock and roll? Alrighty. I hereby call the City of Buellton City Council meeting for January 24th to order. If I could get Councilmember King to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hand up your heart. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Mercado.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Do we have any reordering of the agenda tonight?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Public comments. This is your big opportunity to get up and get your 3 minutes to talk about anything you want to talk about. Good, bad, suggestions, complaints. I've got 2 speaker slips. We're going to start with Randy Arnson.
Okay.
Step on up, please.
Okay, Mayor, Councilman, city officials. My name is Randy Arnson. I own a small renewable energy company here in Buellton, Endelus Energy. And I wanted to introduce a product to you that we developed right here in Buellton. It's an off-grid solar lighting product, and this is a demonstration potential solution for your flagpole situation for lighting. And if it's okay.
You can take the
Please.
mic with you.
Okay.
Right outside your office. Flagpoles.
Yeah, they're right there. So anyway, this here is this working?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So this here is our flagpole lighting system that we developed, okay? And essentially it goes on top of the flagpole. Flagpole would go underneath, or the flag would go underneath. And then if we can see if it turns on here. Gotta find the button.
It's like telling your dog to sit.
So we might have to turn off the lights there,
Put
sir.
your perform in front of everybody
Yeah,
else.
right.
May not be there. There it is.
That's good. It won't go during the day.
Of course it won't work now, right? There it goes. I just turned it off. So you gotta give it a minute for the batteries.
So it gets the sun hits the top of it.
Yeah, so what you get, during the day, there's a battery storage inside of here, okay? And there's a solar panel on top. And what it does, it charges the batteries during the day. And then at nighttime it comes on. And you can see it throws a lot of light, especially up high. So it would light the flag, okay? And so this here is a demo I had built real quick for us. And what I'd like to do is give it to the city just to try it out at one of your flagpoles. And just see what happens, right?
Very nice.
So, but this technology, like I said, is developed right here in Buellton. And so this other product here is a street light or rural off-grid lighting. So essentially you have the same thing. You have a solar panel, energy storage with LED lights. And I have a product outside. We call it Solar Wings. And it's a lighting, off-grid lighting product.
Puts out a lot of light.
It does. It's on a basketball hoop. And we got the county of Santa Barbara. They're buying a bunch of them. What they're doing, the backup generators, they're putting this light over the generator so when the power goes out, something happens, you got lighting at the generator so you can turn it on. And so we're deploying those across the county. And this one here is for the county, the Public Works. It's a portable lighting that they can take out in the field for different situations. And if everybody wants to walk outside, we can take a look at it, or
Can we do that real quick?
you can look at it afterwards.
Are you going to be here the whole meeting?
Well, I'm going to have the guys come take it down at 7, so if you want to take a quick look at it.
2-minute break, yeah.
2-minute break,
Let's
okay.
go take a break. I'm thinking industrial.
Yeah. My friend. You getting ready for the tournament? Of course. How excited. There you go. Oh, that's going to be really cool. Do they find anybody replaced on that? For your sake, not for the city.
Okay. Was different, huh? Do I need to put that in the minutes?
They walked out. I mean, if you wanted to, you could say council recess for 10 minutes
To see the lights outside?
to see a demonstration in the parking lot. And then
I had a piece of chocolate and I was getting all like sleepy.
That's what I'm looking at online. The thing that people don't ask, you know, answering is, you know, the company says,
That would be nice. That would be very nice.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised the flag would be out here, so you guys can because the flag sits right here.
your kids go outside and look.
I did.
Just like the-
They're just quick.
I was just telling her, I was like, I had that chocolate.
That concludes the demonstration.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing them in. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions, Mayor, if you don't mind. On that particular setup right there, the angle that you have the lights shining out there, those poles are what are they, marked 50 feet, or flag poles?
50, yeah.
50 feet?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of concerned about where the light.
25-foot circle on the ground. on the height of that
But
pole.
see where those are shining, when you have those on, they
Yeah,
have
there's
about a
lights right there.
30-degree angle this way. My concern would be,
Well, let's see. Click off the lights now.
see what I mean? Are you guys able to,
Want me to hold up for the ceiling for you so you can see the distance in case there was a flag
So
under
see,
it?
the lights there too?
well, see the ones I'm talking about, are the 3 there.
Yeah, but you
Because
got
those are
the,
pretty intense, so if you're driving, my consideration would be those
Not as intense as the lights.
shining in your eye.
Not as intense as the ones you got on the pole.
Well, yeah, the ones now, there was one, and I don't know if they've adjusted it because I haven't been by there, but that one was shining right in people's eyes as they got off the freeway. We fixed that, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's not on.
Okay. So my concern again would be that those would not be shining in motorists' eyes. Can we go with the configuration where those don't even exist?
well, the
And it's
interesting,
only the downward.
No.
You'd want to cover the flag, right?
No.
The flag
It has
is
to
big
be
flag.
But see, there's one underneath.
but
like a
see,
ring.
he said he'd like to try it out on one of them.
Okay.
So that would be fun to try it.
Doesn't have a ball on it.
Yeah, it folds down, doesn't it, John?
Be fun to see if it was a problem or not.
Oh, yeah, right.
Dave, I think you can put a shroud on it also.
Yeah,
I
that's-
did
that would be
at
my-
the house, the guy didn't like my night light, so
Right.
I put a
Dropped
shroud
a
on it.
Right.
black fabric.
Just put it.
I'd like to leave this here.
Okay.
You to keep and try and see what
Okay.
happens. We'd like
Thank,
to-
thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, sir. All righty, I got one other speaker slip. If anybody else wants to come up and turn your slip in now, this is your opportunity. Oh, I've got another one, good one.
That's 6.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Mahoney.
No, that's okay. I'm used to being sick.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Mayor, members of council, and staff. Tim Mahoney, I'm a district manager with Southern California Gas Company, and we're the local natural gas provider in the valley here to your residents and taxpayers and voters of the wonderful city of Buellton. So PG&E does the electricity, and we supply the natural gas. So your residents, my customers, are going home tonight. Might be cold in the house, they go to that thermostat and flip that switch and that hot air comes out. Chances are that's provided by natural gas. They're going to go in and cook a dinner tonight and turn that burner on, the blue light comes up, the blue flame, that's natural gas. And tomorrow morning they'll probably take a hot shower, courtesy of the gas company heating up the hot water. So that's who we are, and kind of a purpose tonight is a couple different things. Talk about where the gas company is going in the near future here with renewable natural gas, and just kind of to give a message that the gas company is doing alive and well. We have a franchise agreement with the city. We pay that franchise fee. I know that there's some concern that I'm hearing in the cities because of PG&E and their situation. But I wanted to let you know that the gas utility is not involved in many of those issues, so we're kind of moving on a whole different track than the electrical utilities. So in that regard, we've come across an idea for renewable natural gas. And this is gas which is existing in landfills, kind of your classic dumps, sewer, wastewater treatment facilities, and dairies. Not so much on the south coast here, but in the San Joaquin Valley, the dairy business is huge. Those three generic business sectors produce a lot of methane. That methane, which is 90% of all natural gas, is methane. The other 10%'s the butanes, the propanes, and all those other things. But that methane is right now just going into the atmosphere and contributing to greenhouse gases, etc. We are looking and have pilot projects on capturing that gas, putting it in the pipelines, and we specifically would like to use that for heavy-duty trucking transportation. So that would be anything from refuse trucks to buses. We hope to have a natural gas fueling station built in the next 2 years right outside of the Santa Maria Airport, which would then facilitate that. We're trying to get that renewable natural gas into that market, if you will, because the heavy-duty market is primed for a natural gas in lieu of diesel fuel. So that's kind of the direction that we're going. Balanced energy, things like this are great. I think California needs more innovation, more technology. There is a movement, if you will, in California to kind of electrify everything. I think that's a mistake. I'm an electrical customer, and I don't want anybody taking my electricity away. I enjoy electricity, but I certainly don't need it to heat a house, heat hot water, or cook on, because that's just not my choice. So customer choice in those divisions, those areas, prefers natural gas. So I have my contact information. I can send to you if you have any questions about what gas company is doing, or our business model, or our security as a California energy provider in kind of this time of lots of lawsuits going on and people seeking other remedies. I just wanted to let you know that we're doing okay. Gas company's fine.
Thank you very much. Your project in Santa Maria, timetable and estimate? Or?
Well, we got approval from the City Council and the Planning Commission last year. So now we're doing the engineering and the design. We do have a facility there right on Industrial Way across. It's right next to the Santa Maria Times, our facility. Now we're going to have to remodel that, obviously, in the front. So we're working on the remodeling so we can get trucks in. It would look very similar to just a regular gas station, if you will, with the overhead, and have a sign out there saying the price of gas turned into a gallon equivalent. Okay. It runs about half the price of regular gasoline. And a lot of folks like it, particularly in refuse trucks, your neighborhood trash trucks, because it runs real clean and it runs quiet. So you don't have a diesel engine in front of your house going by. And it delivers a lot of power. Right now, that's what a lot of the refuse trucks are looking for, because they've got to have the scooper that comes down and pushes all the trash back in. It takes a lot of energy to do that. So Marburg's been very successful down in the Santa Barbara area with that.
Very innovative.
Did that, yeah. So that's the plan going forward.
Well, thank you. And thank
You're
you
welcome.
for your
Thank
wonderful
you.
product.
All right. Okay, you're welcome. See you soon. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. All righty, I see no other speaker slips, so I'm closing public comment.
I think there was one other one.
I've got agenda item 6, or did you want to talk now, Larry?
That would be just during the speaker.
Did you want to, either way?
I can go ahead and speak now because I enjoyed listening to these guys. Then we can just let them take care. If that's okay with you.
Step on up, sure.
Let me put your pen back before I walk out with it.
Mr. Rankin. Agenda item number, 6, public comment, please.
So I'm here to speak with item number 6, which is an extension for the senior living project, which I spoke for several years ago. And before I go into that, though, I think the light project here is really kind of nice, and I understand Dave's question about it, but if this thing's up 30 feet on a flagpole, I can't, it'd be like a street light. Okay, don't do that.
50 feet.
Pardon?
It's up 50 feet.
50, you'd never have to worry about it then, as far as being in somebody's eyes. And one of the things he forgot about was pig farms for methane gas. We have one right here on Buellton. We're going to go into methane gas. So no, what I'm here for is that I really love that project, and I was really saddened to see that it did not get completed, but I understand why there's so much going on. And I also talked to Mr. Edwards about it, and he told me that they were doing everything they could in order to expedite this and get somebody that was really capable of producing this and being a manager to make this thing happen. And I can imagine with the amount of logistics and everything that's needed, how difficult it would really be to find someone with that expertise. So I think, just to make it really short and sweet so you all can get home and have a nice dinner, I'm for it, and I think it's a great project. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. All righty, I am closing public comment. Moving on to the consent calendar, we have 4 items. We have the minutes of January 10th, 2019 regular city council meeting. Number 2 is list of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2018-19. 3, the financial report for the second quarter ending December 31st, 2018. And number 4, the monthly treasurer's report, December 31, 2018. Any questions, gentlemen? Any motions, gentlemen?
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, Linda?
Did you second?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
And Mayor
Aye.
Sierra.
Aye, thank you. Any presentations tonight?
No, ma'am.
We've actually had a presentation. Public hearings, we're moving on to agenda item number 5. Ordinance number 19-01, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, making findings and establishing a moratorium on electric scooters within the city limits for 1 year from January 24th, 2019. This is a 4/5 vote requirement. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, you probably are aware that throughout California and throughout the United States, electric scooters that are leased out via an app have become a very popular thing. To date, they have not shown up in Buellton, but they have shown up in Santa Barbara, Isla Vista, and had begun to show up in Goleta. It's our belief that they will come to Buellton because of Buellton's tourist economy, restaurants, and other activities that lend themselves to short trips by people on these electric scooters. At the same time, unregulated use of electric scooters can be a problem. With Route 246 bisecting the city, it could be especially a potentially dangerous problem. Before you tonight is a moratorium. It's not a land use moratorium, which takes certain kind of hearing to adopt. This is simply an ordinance that would prohibit these scooters for a period of 1 year. A 1-year moratorium would not be put in your city's code. Instead, it's an uncodified ordinance that allows your city staff to study the scooters, potentially work with Lime and Bird, the 2 biggest providers, to establish some reasonable regulations for their use in the city when Lime and Bird want to bring them in, and then we can roll out to you a full ordinance that would go into your city code to regulate scooter use. We believe that this is a reasonable response to the potential to have scooters in the city. It does not affect at all any resident who has their own privately held scooter. Kids would still be able to ride whatever they've ridden in the past. This just stops these companies from coming in an unregulated way. We ask for a 4/5 vote, if not a unanimous vote, because an urgency ordinance does require that. And we do have a 1-year time frame on this because that will keep staff in my office moving on it. And if scooters aren't showing up at all within a year, then there clearly isn't any kind of public emergency that requires us to continue with the prohibition. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I know Mark can answer them as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for our legal counsel? Or Mark?
I have one.
Sure.
Greg, the Could we just matter-of-factly require license for any scooters as part of our prohibition, or are we giving a tacit approval when we say you have to have a license? I mean, just the absence of, I envisioned all these signs of people pull into town with their RV, jump on their scooter, and they go to a restaurant and park it. Something happens.
That's
say, well, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's actually totally fine. All that this governs is the companies that will drop them off, and then you use your app on your phone.
People can have their own scooters.
Correct. Any privately held, privately owned one is not a problem.
I didn't read it that way. Okay.
No scooters.
Yeah, these companies bring in hundreds of them.
Yeah. So moratorium of electric scooters.
Any other questions? No? Okay, then I'm going to open it up to the public. I don't have any speaker slips, but if there's anybody in the audience who'd like to make a comment on this one or a question, now's your opportunity. Seeing nothing, I bring it back to council for discussion and direction.
And if I may, just I want to clarify for Vice Mayor Andrusik, I know where you're going. The definition in the moratorium talks about the commercial ones, not the private ones. Okay. So even though the title says this, the definition clarifies that it's the lime, and those commercial companies, not somebody coming into Flying Flags with their personal one and riding it.
Okay. So
I think that was your
someone questioning him would know that, then the word would get around if they showed up here.
Yeah.
Said that's illegal and that's illegal.
Would they come in for a license and you'd say, here's your moratorium?
Yeah, they could not do those in the town because we have the moratorium.
Right. So Mark would say, we have a moratorium, you can't do it. But since you're here and you're interested, let's talk about what your interest is and what kind of regulations you'd be comfortable with, and this gives us a year to work on that. And Vice Mayor, it is in the definition, an electric scooter for purposes of the ordinance is accessed via an on-demand portal and operated by a private entity that owns and manages it.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't want to get in the way of private people's fun. We just don't want these companies in until you guys are ready to have them and feel comfortable with the way that they're going to work here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Art.
I'll start.
Okay.
I think it's a good ordinance. My family and I, we went down to Santa Monica here about 6-7 months ago, and they look great and everybody having fun with them. But people do just all of a sudden, okay, they're off in the middle of the street. I mean, they're on sidewalks everywhere. So, and just seeing what happened in Santa Barbara and Goleta, I think we're getting ahead of the curve, and that gives us a chance to see exactly maybe what areas could support one, but until some other things get developed, I think we're going in the right direction to go forward on this moratorium.
All right. Is that a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept that. Ordinance number 1901.
Okay.
As written.
Second.
Alrighty.
Okay, Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Hi. Thank you very much for putting that together for us.
Yes, ma'am.
Agenda item number 6, resolution number 19-02. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, approving a 1-year time extension, 18-TE-01, request for a conditional use permit, 12-CUP-01, and tentative tract map, TTM 31056, for the Meritage Senior Living Project located on Hanada Park Road, assessor parcel numbers 099-400-064, 099-400-065, and 099-400-069 off-site portion. Ms. Kiefer.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, the Meritage Senior Living Project, which included a tentative tract map and a conditional use permit, was approved on October 24th, 2013. Project approvals are valid for 5 years unless a time extension is applied for and approved. This project was set to expire, therefore, on October 24th, 2018. However, the applicant for the project did submit an application for a time extension in advance of that deadline. So should the council approve the time extension tonight, the approval would be valid through October 24th, 2019. The applicant can apply for up to 3 one-year time extensions for the tentative tract map and up to 2 for the conditional use permit. And this is the first request for a 1-year time extension for both applications. And on December 20th, 2018, the Planning Commission adopted Resolution 1809 recommending to the City Council approval of this 1-year time extension for the project. At this time, staff sees no reason not to approve the extension request and sees it as a reasonable to approve the 1-year time extension. And with that, staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution number 19-02 as worded in the staff report, approving the 1-year time extension for the project. And staff's available for questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
I do.
Okay, please.
I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but if we make this extension and let's say somewhere in the near future we change our code, like we spoke about last meeting, could we make them comply with that, or this extension would just be as is?
The extension would be as is. They're vested with their approval of the project, and the time extension would grant them to continue on with the project as approved.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Okay, that's.
I had a question with the new construction. Everything has to have solar power now. Does that change anything with the plans? I know the plans are in. But is that something that just gets picked up?
Well, that would be at the building permit phase. Whatever building codes are in effect at the time that they submit for building plans, they would have to comply with what those are.
And solar is not required for the project. They have green building standards that the state requires, but solar is not a mandatory portion of that.
Is that just in homes?
And I don't believe that's mandatory on.
We should do that.
I thought there was a new law with a mandatory solar power for new construction.
The building code, whatever building code is in effect.
Right. If not, that was just a question. Thank you.
Could I ask a question of Mr. Edwards? I remember you coming before us a few years ago and presenting this wonderful project. I'm all for the 1-year extension. I'm just curious where you're at. I know funding is an economic. It's hard. I was told it's hard finding development and senior living. It's hard to believe with all of us getting older and needing places to be. But where are you at if, say, the 1-year extension is given?
I think it's an excellent question. It's actually the one that I intended to address to the council, so I appreciate you bringing it up and giving me the opportunity. The project's a great project and we love it, and the owners are still very, very bullish about the project, and I think it's a great project for Buellton. I think it's a very low impact project. It provides jobs, it provides necessary care, housing, those types of things. But in that process, the owners have been very diligent in making sure they identify an operator that matches with their vision for the project. When we took this project through, originally we had an operator identified, felt very comfortable. There wasn't any fallout about that, but the operator decided that they wanted to withdraw from the project, and that was totally understandable. We've had several other people have approached us wanting to partner up and operate the project, but for one reason or another we've been selective and haven't felt like they've met our vision or the vision that we feel like would be best for the city. So we've passed on some opportunities just to get the project built, but it wasn't going to be right. So that's the position that we're in now. We actually are courting and have been courted by a couple of new operators. We like what we see initially. So we do feel there is really good reason to believe that the project will still get built. We still want it built. But it's a complicated project in the sense that it's a lot of investment for our owner to hand over to somebody, so they want to be comfortable with that. But more importantly, it's a lot of impact to the city that we want to see done in the right way. So that the selectivity, I think, is really what's caused more than anything the need for some additional time. There's no change in the vision. There's no change in the inspiration for the project. It's just a matter of finding that right entity that will partner up with the owners and go forward.
Thank you very much.
Is that good?
Any other questions? No?
I just have one for Mark, and I think this is a great project, and Ed, Holly, and I were all, when this first got introduced on council at the time, I'm surprised it didn't go in, but I have one question for you, Mark. On the building aspects of this, since we just discussed about changing, the coding on that, would they not also be grandfathered into this under this provision? Or would they have to comply with California's, maybe that's a Greg question, wouldn't they have to comply with new building standards?
They would have to comply with new building standards.
All right, got you. All right. I'm good.
Any other thing for me?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. If we're done with questions here, I open it up to the public. Seeing nothing, bring it back to council. Discussion?
Anybody?
Motion?
I move that we approve resolution number 1902, resolution of the City Council, City of Buellton, California, approving a one-year extension, time extension, parentheses 18-TE-01, request for a conditional use permit, parentheses 12-CUP-01, a tentative track map, TTM 31056 for the Heritage Senior Living Project located on Hunter Road, parentheses assessor's parcels number 099-400-064, 099-400-065, and 099-400-069 off-site portion.
Second.
All right. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay.
Oh, I have one
Thank you.
question. Can I take this and put it on my 18-foot flagpole? And then I'll tell you what the results are.
It disappears off the avenue, Larry. We know where you live. I know you are. Bye.
Let's get her done.
Yeah. Okay, we have council member comments / items. Councilmember King, we'll start on your end. Any comments or items, anything you want brought back or anything you've seen around town?
I'm good.
I have nothing to show committee reports.
Nothing? Councilmember Sanchez?
No, I wish he was still here to thank for that. I think that's pretty neat. It'd be neat to.
Yeah, it is.
There's a pole that doesn't have a ball on it. Right now, we could.
Check it out on
But
that.
it's gonna have to take somebody to go up there and take the cap off and put another, just to fit it, but it could be.
We got our cherry picker, right?
Yeah, it won't make it. We have to get it, yeah.
Somebody's gonna have to climb the pole?
We put a list on the cherry picker.
We need a different.
Greg's the tallest guy in the room.
Okay, yeah, that works for me.
We need a different chicken picker.
That works for me.
You wouldn't mind. Just one. Madam Mayor, I had,
Please.
I would like, well, two things. I asked before when the triangles, and I got the email that they're going to a train station, but WHEN, when?
Oh, I think that was in my last email, February 1st.
February 1st.
Is that a solid positive? Because we're going to have a little party of that.
Right, yeah.
I know, and I'm out of town that day.
An art appreciation day.
We're gonna take bets on how much grass
Yeah, my
goes
last
with it.
department reports, I think it was
Okay.
February 1st. So,
Okay.
yeah, so they're set to go and coordinating with Rose to make sure the street is available and there's room for the trains to get in.
And then, with regard to another comment,
It's gonna be a game.
we're moving right along, but reality is at our last meeting, we were faced with an unscheduled timeline, and I really feel a need for this council, period, just this council, to have a closed session to discuss what
That's gonna happen at our next meeting.
I appreciate that, because I've been contacted by some people at page 22 on tonight's packet. They're astounded at how much money we're spending for what we're getting, for what we're doing. But my input is, we are not a typical city. We're hemmed in with an urban growth boundary. We've adjusted to it, but as price, cost of living, in order to stay competitive, we need to do this and need to do that. And I honestly believe, since we are the ones that will get unelected or removed from office if the public feels that we've gone above and beyond.
Speak for yourself.
That I won't mention the name, but I just think that I would like to do that, and I'm happy that you have that on the docket. But I just didn't think that we needed. We have not had a forum, if you will,
we're
five
gonna
people.
Yeah, we're going to discuss on item 10 that
Okay.
exact discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. No other council member comments or items? I just had a couple. I met with Supervisor Hartman today, this afternoon. She has created the Santa Ynez Valley Leadership Hub. She thinks it's smart. I agree with her. That the mayor of Buellton, the mayor of Solvang, and Kenneth Kahn from the Chumash, along with Supervisor Hartman, get together and discuss items going on in the valley, to share some information. On May 1st, they're going to have a bicycle forum, why bicycles are good for tourism, and I'm supposed to get a hold of our chamber and start promoting it with local businesses. But it went for a couple hours. It was really interesting, and I tried to tell the new mayor of Solvang that we really worked well together, and there's still a little competition. Anyway. Also, I just wanted to announce publicly, Restaurant Week starts on the 27th in Santa Ynez Valley, goes through March 10th. Quite a few of our Buellton restaurants are participating. $20.19 for a 3-course dinner. Go to visitsantaynezvalley.com, and oh my gosh, there's some really cool menus out there. A nice chance to try different restaurants. Try to keep it in Buellton. But it's a lot of fun. So that's mine. Written communications.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Committee reports. Any committee reports?
I have one. To just go on the Visitor Bureau. Actually, our Santa Ynez website, our Buellton website, was the leader for Santa Ynez for the Restaurant Week. Kathy said, or Megan said, we generated 12,000 hits 3 days before Santa Ynez Dine Out took over, and they are up to 27,000 hits. So it's really amazing what social media has done, and just for the Restaurant Week, and had a great meeting. Also, pass these guys around to everybody. Save the dates. Give those to you guys too. I'm sure you will get some. The Wine and Chili Festival has been totally booked for both vendors and participants, and they are almost 95% out for the beer. So people are coming to Buellton, and Kathy and Megan are doing a great job on social media. Also, Kathy's going, February is a big month for them to going on some of their trips to Keep Brook. But this quarter alone, the Buellton website generated over 12,000 hits. And so hopefully they're now seeing a few more of them being driven by the wine industry, which is good because that's probably the fastest growing entity right now. And so the Chamber and the Visitor Bureau are red hot and rolling.
Wonderful. Thank you. Did you have any?
Yes, ma'am. Central Coast Water Authority met this morning at our regular monthly meeting. We had not met for 2 months, but we had an update. Of course, water is looking better. The snowpack is better than 100% of average. Talked about the state water allocation in 2018 was 35%, but currently, for whatever reason, it is at 10% right now, state water. That's what Ray Stokes announced. But the biggest piece of information, I think, got a piece of paper, and I'll leave it, I brought a couple for staff, but it's the stats on the state water project and what benefits there are. Because we had an agenda item today to ask that the county allow CCWA to be totally responsible for the CCWA contract, rather than it was DWR approved it. It's been quite a while coming. Met with the supervisors. Will be agendizing it. Supervisor Hartman met with a couple of people from CCWA, and I think she saw the benefits of it, because there are a lot of time is shrinking if we do not get the contract extended. It'll be a very expensive process for future bond payments, and it's an ongoing situation. But there's a lot of information in this, and probably be a good thing to have maybe on the counter at the city. They had about a dozen of them, and I took half of them.
Good. Thank you.
And then did attend quarterly awards today, Vandenberg.
Thank you.
A great showing of support and esprit de corps for the servicemen and women at Vandenberg. They do that every quarter, and it's a pleasure to represent the Buellton. Rudy Henderson is our military affairs chairman, so he was at the table with us today. But that was good.
I appreciate you representing the city.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate that. We had a SB CAG meeting, an APCD meeting last week. I am the representative to CalCog again, and we'll be going to their convention in March. I also volunteered for Legislative Day in Sacramento in March also. It's interesting. From Buellton, where we're very comfortable, going up to Sacramento, where it's a whole different ballgame. We go see Jordan Cunningham and Hannah Beth, and anyway, so that was really nice. APCD had a discussion on alternative transportation. Public transportation is down, which is not a good thing, but they don't know how much of an impact Uber and some of these other new transportation modes. They were also the young gentleman, this 20-something-year-old giving the speech, got into the scooters, and he just loves scooters. I told him we were discussing our moratorium, and I got the evil eye. So maybe I just don't see the new wave of the future coming, but it was interesting. Anyways. Okay, that's it?
Maybe he doesn't have to do those 25-page traffic reports.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Moving on to business items. Did you want to talk about your trip last week?
Yes, I wanted to thank staff for taking care of all the arrangements. It was very nice, and it was real enlightening, and I learned a lot. And I've been I appreciate the league. The league was impressive, and the accommodation was nice, and it was a good time. I want to thank the staff for taking care of that.
Good. Business items. Agenda item number 7. Discussion regarding speed hump policy on public roads. Ms. Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Member City Council. In 2014, the council has previously reviewed this in February and September. We discussed the potential for speed hump policy on the public roads. During both meetings, the council decided to table the matter, and specifically during that discussion, we were looking at staff had received requests on Menlo Court for the speed humps. So instead of just reviewing one street, we're looking at the policy, because the city doesn't have a formal policy on speed humps other than we don't encourage them to be installed. Informally, staff has historically replied to requests that 100% of the residents that are affected need to sign the petition for the request before we can initiate studies for installation. Within the county, this is reiteration of information that was previously provided in 2014. And in Santa Barbara County, there's only 2 agencies that has formal written policies for evaluation of speed humps. That's the City of Solvang and the County of Santa Barbara. And a little further down on page 130 of your packet are some of the criteria that's used by the county to evaluate the request. City of Lompoc also has installed some speed humps, but they too do not have a formal policy. At this point, their staff has been telling requests for speed humps that the city will not install speed humps as well. The city does have speed humps existing. We have them in Rancho de Maria neighborhood. In further research, we have found that those were installed in 2002. At the time, city traffic engineer, Mr. Poole from Associated Traffic Engineers, was working with the safety committee formed by the Rancho de Maria HOA in looking at suitable locations, speed issues, and such in that neighborhood. And that's what was installed you see today. Some things you should consider, though, when you're discussing the speed hump policies, or there should not be a policy, and using of this as a traffic calming measure device, and speaking with the Sheriff's Department and Fire Department, they're not supportive of installation of these types of calming measures. There are impediments in the roadway and possibly reduce response times. In addition, in discussions with our city's risk management team, the JPIA, and they were in attendance at the last meetings in 2014 also, and they don't encourage the installation of speed humps as well, because that adds additional risk and liability to the city. And just one thing to note also, with the request from the Rancho de Maria neighborhoods, of course that initiated from speeding through the neighborhoods. They were installed, and to this day we're still getting calls about speeding issues in the neighborhood. So I can't say for certain that it has worked to reduce speeds. So it's not necessarily an effective measure and tool to utilize for speed reduction. But if the council would desire to develop a policy, we do still have a list of outlines of evaluation process and request procedures that's provided in page 131 of the packet, including the application, petition forms, eligibility requirements that you could review. And with that, council can discuss the merits of formalizing speed hump policy if it desires, and provide staff with additional direction.
Thank you. First of all, any questions for staff? Okay, opening it up to the public. Sue? No? Okay. Bringing it back to council for discussion. I just remember this 4 years ago. And I guess my concern is we have people on Central wanted it, people on Menlo wanted it, people on Second wanted it, people on Sycamore wanted it, people on Valley Dairy, people on Riverview wanted it, and that was this side. We've had our motorcycle officer out a lot more. I know he can't be there 24/7, but I would just hate to see this town turn into speed bumps everywhere. How do you determine it? Just, I don't know if the signs are helping at all. I don't hear the complaints as much as I did 4 years ago. I don't know, any other ideas or comments?
I wonder.
I was just going to comment, or just when Doug, or when David and I were at the JPI meeting, they talked about that actually a lot. Right. And they're not for it, and they bring up a lot of different reasons why, just that people just have the tendency now to drive faster than because they are there to get from point A and B. So it doesn't really make it better, even though they think it does. So I just, adding more, like Holly said, just doesn't make much sense. And I just think that, we're not having as many complaints as everybody says, even though they're complaining still, I guess, in Rancho, but that's because they have the speed bumps that people want to go.
Right.
I remember one resident on Second saying that somebody was doing, did he say 60 miles an hour down the street or something, and he's three houses away from a stop sign? So that's kind of hard. Anyway, you had a comment, or Councilmember King, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, and it's to dovetail on what Art said, is that we went down to JPIA, and the attorney, and I can't remember his name, you probably can't remember his name either, I can't remember his name, but he was one of the lead attorneys for our JPIA, and he said the problem with speed bumps is they don't really slow people down, because you have to slow down to go over that one, now you speed up to get to the next speed bump, and then you slow down for that one. And here's the old saying, you know, be careful what you wish for, because, you know, people may say, oh, we want speed bumps because everybody's speeding down our street, until you get one in front of your house, you know. Yeah. And then you have plumbing trucks going over that speed bump, and all the tools jump up and drop down, and a toolbox falls off the back into the street. You know, they're just ridiculous. They don't really slow people down, not to mention the fact that law enforcement, and I'll tell you that if you have an ambulance, and you know, these things are heavy, you know, and they have a lot of equipment in them. So those ambulances that are running to your house trying to stop, you know, trying to start your heart again after you have a heart attack, if they're having to slow down over every one of those speed bumps and not throw everything that's compacted into that fire truck or that ambulance, you know, I honestly think they're a bad idea. The real thing that slows people down in a neighborhood, and if Rancho de Maria calls up and says, hey, everybody's speeding, well, we go on what we used to call a search and destroy mission. You put the sheriff over there, the people that are speeding are the people that live there. Write everybody that's speeding there a ticket, and you're going to get them to slow down. You know, you spend a week out there every day, every morning, every afternoon writing people tickets. You don't want to get 2 or 3 tickets and have your license suspended, but speed bumps, honestly, and JPIA was adamantly against speed bumps because they say they cause nothing but a problem.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Andrusik?
Since we have Eddie in the audience, I wondered if he would give us a sheriff's view, or perhaps he's got some issue, some other story to tell.
To the mic, officer.
Mike?
Sorry, Eddie, we got to make you go to the microphone.
Yeah,
please. I'm sorry. I know you look comfy back there.
For the record.
For the record, I'm a terrible traffic officer, but I totally agree with you. And I think that what you say is very valid, and Dave has a lot of experience with highway patrol, and I agree. Just having high visibility, I think having Jose out there a lot has caused a lot of people to slow down. He just actually he just stopped the sheriff's son the other day and pulled him over. So he's out there and stopping a lot of people. And he's been spending a lot of time at Avenue of the Flags too, and really hasn't seen the same issues that we hear a lot of reports on, as you know, people just speeding and flying up and down Avenue of Flags. It's just, you know, his opinion is just not really happening like people are perceiving it.
Thank you very much.
You know, when you're out there shooting radar, you know, on a regular basis, you're going to get people slowing down because they don't want to get it. I guess tickets are like, what are they, Eddie, for speeding now? It's $300-something.
You're a Menlo resident.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the speed bumps.
Not a fan. Okay, so we're all pretty much in unison that we don't want to start putting speed humps up in town. Do we need to have a policy for this, or?
No, your policy is, we have no policy.
Or
We don't.
Could we talk about
The policy would be no recommendation for no speed humps to go that route. It's a traffic calming tool.
But I think the one consistent area, though, is Second Street, especially during school time, more out than in, and I don't know if Jose's going.
Jose's has been out on Second. There is not speeding on Second, but there is a lot of California stops around the school, so he's been writing tickets for the rolling stops. Yeah, but the speeding has not been an issue according to Jose.
I just thought while we were talking, because Second Street
they don't
residents are pretty both sides of the street
like.
are concerned about that.
Okay. Well, next month we're having a joint meeting between the Buellton School District and the city, and I'll bring that up because I know last year they talked about it, and I don't know if they're doing it. They were going to discuss it about getting more parents at that time, or people like you do in Solvang. You go in front of Solvang School, they have their signs out there, they have people in the crosswalk, they slow people down. And they do it half an hour before school starts and a half an hour after school ends in the afternoon. And just right down the street is where they have the speed bumps, and no one uses those speed bumps. They avoid that street, which is good. But it doesn't get you to the school any faster, so they don't use it. And if they're doing it, they're using it to avoid going down in front of Solvang School. So I think more having our motorcycle cop and more involvement from the school itself, I think would be better.
I was at the launch of the Highway 246 safety study. CHP was there, and they had nothing but good things to say about Jose and the work he's been doing on our highway and on our streets. They said his presence out there, that most Lompoc commuters are slowing down. It's all the tourists that aren't aware that this is not the area to be racing down. But they had nothing but top comments for the Buellton police force and Jose.
He loves his job.
He does a very good job. He does a good job. All righty.
Madam Mayor, can I ask him one more question? Hey, Eddie, do we have any car cops that are radar certified?
You know, we just sent 2 to LiDAR training, but I don't think we have any LiDAR in the cars.
Well, they can handhold them.
I believe we purchased a second one for the car, so I do believe you have one.
Oh,
You just
okay.
don't have the deputies to use them at this point.
Let's get her busy.
We just sent 2 to LiDAR training.
Good.
They should get back from that.
Yeah, and they'll have to get certified and all that, right?
Can we just have them out there holding it? We wouldn't have to.
Oh yeah, the car cops do
Not
that.
a car with a dummy in it.
You know, you actually open the door and shoot it out the door, and then just drive after whoever you're chasing. And they're really effective because they have a beam about that wide at 1,200 feet. You could put it on somebody's license plate.
Alrighty. Business item number 8. Review of comprehensive annual financial report, our CAFR, for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. Ms. Zamora.
Madam Mayor and City Council, tonight I present you the comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year end June 30th, 2018. I'll be referring to it as the CAFR. Each year, staff is supposed to prepare and submit to City Council a financial report. While only the basic financial statement is required by law, the city prepares the CAFR at the request of City Manager to ensure a more comprehensive financial presentation of the city's financial position. The CAFR provides a broader scope than the basic financial statement. It allows the community and other interested parties to gain a better understanding of the finances and operations. The CAFR is prepared following the guidelines provided by the Government Finance Officers Association, otherwise known as the GFOA. Following these guidelines allows the city to apply for the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The city has received its fifth consecutive GFOA award, and we anticipate receiving the 6th award with this CAFR. The CAFR is organized into 3 sections: the introductory, financial, and statistical section. The introductory section is intended to familiarize the reader with the general structure of the city, the nature and scope of city services. It includes a transmittal letter that provides background information and acknowledges the efforts of staff. The financial section, which is the bulk of the CAFR, includes the independent auditor's report, management discussion and analysis, and the financial statements, including notes. The last portion, the statistical, includes financial trends and demographic information about the city. The CAFR is audited by Moss, Lube & Hartime, and our audit manager is here, Adam Geis. The auditors express an opinion that the city's financial statement for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2018 are fairly stated in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. This is the most favorable opinion, commonly known as the unmodified or clean opinion. There is no impact to the city as a result of the CAFR.
Staff recommends that the City Council receive and file a CAFR for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2018. If Council has any questions for me or Adam, we will answer them at this time.
Thank you very much.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions?
Nicely written.
Thank you.
It's still a huge beast of a document.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
Just, oh my gosh.
Thank you.
No questions.
And all we have to do is accept, right?
I was just going to say thank Adam for preparing the document. He and Chanel worked close together on this, along with her finance staff, to put this together. So we're very proud of the document that they've put together.
I know it's nice to cross-reference everything. This thing is still a beast. It's just, I don't think we have any questions from the audience, so I will thank Mr. Geis for coming and sitting through an hour, and we truly appreciate the work that you and Chanel and staff put into this, and we will receive and file then.
Does he have any comments?
Do you have any comments?
Sure.
Step on up.
Might as well since I'm here.
Please, please.
So yeah, my name is Adam Geis. I'm with Mossling and Hartzheim, and I was in charge of the audit for the city this last year. Working, as stated earlier, working closely with Chanel and the rest of city staff. I just wanted to state that city staff was very helpful in getting everything that we need. We make a lot of requests of them, look through a lot of documents, run a lot of reports, and we were always able to get things in a timely manner and get all of our questions answered. So I really appreciate the work that staff does to get everything organized and to us. And like Chanel said, the clean, unmodified opinion in here means that when all of our work was said and done, we agree with the numbers that are in the financial statements.
Wonderful. Is it easier with the new software program that we have, or are there still glitches that we're trying to...
We've only been here for 2 years, so we weren't here with the old system. I was a long time ago, but it is easier. I personally worked with the city in their audits, probably 8 to 10 years ago. And then it was another audit firm for a while, and then we've been back for the last 2.
So you missed the...
We weren't here for the transition year, so.
Yeah, and I helped Carolyn in 15-16, which was the conversion period, and it seems like every fiscal year it just keeps getting better and better with the new financial software. Everything is much cleaner. The information is available instantly, which I think has helped the audit a lot, because everything is scanned in there. If they have a question with an invoice, we can provide the document easily because we can go in there and view it.
And one of the issues we had last year that just took a lot of extra time was with the fixed assets of the city. The way that they had all been put into the new software, there's a lot of issues trying to tie everything out. We were able to get it all figured out. This year, during the course of the year, before we even came out for our audit, Chanel had gone through and tried to clean everything up and did a lot of work, so that was a lot easier and saved a lot of time this year. So.
I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting.
That's it?
Thank you.
Receive and file. Chanel, good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, staff. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 9, consideration of wastewater treatment plant management agreement with the San Ynez Community Services District. Ms. Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Bringing this item back to you. Before you, at the time of the packet being prepared, we just still had the draft agreement. You should have a hard copy of the latest revised clean version. We just received the comments back from the Community Services District's attorney this morning. Our attorney has reviewed it. The comments were minor and everything was able to be accepted. So what we have before you in hard copy is a clean, our attorney approved version. So with that, we're requesting council to approve this agreement. The Community Service District did meet last week to discuss this item, and they are 100% in support of working with the city to help us and provide services for our wastewater treatment plant. They're going to hold a special meeting so that we don't have to wait until next month for when they meet again, so they can review this item with our final approved changes and approve it themselves. So that way we can move along, get the items done faster, and we can get going with the work with the district. In addition, they're already starting the paperwork to file with the Regional Water Quality Control Board to make sure they're on the contract operators list, so they'll be able to provide the services to us. With that, I'm available to answer any questions you have.
Just for the sake of the council and the public, the changes that were made were minor changes to Section 5 on indemnity, nothing substantive, just some changes to the way it was written, and I agreed with all of them. It was cleanup more than anything. And then the other change was the insurance coverage would be $2.5 million instead of $3 million. That's the coverage that the district currently has. They said they really didn't want to go increase their coverage just for this, and we have no problem with that. So in both cases, just fine, and I think we're safe to move forward from a legal perspective if you would like to do it from a practical perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're speaking of what was laying at our place tonight.
Correct.
Correct, yes, sir. And just the comparison between that and what was in the printed packet.
Great.
Any questions? This is going to, I mean, this, it's not the same as not having permanent staff, but this is less expensive than what we're doing right now.
That's correct. And it'll keep us in compliance with the regional board as well.
That's important too, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Don't see anything from the public. Bring it back to council for...
Madam Mayor, I'd move for acceptance of the staff's recommendation for approval of the document we've just reviewed.
I'd second it.
All righty. Linda?
Okay, Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much.
The date, that was the one thing I was going to ask you. Do we have an end date, or we left that open?
There's no end date on there because it's as needed. There's a 30-day termination.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask. That we
Right.
just, if we're all tuned in, it's a 30-day
Yes.
from the time we,
Right, and we
if
did.
we want to make a change.
Yes, and then there's, in the agreement, it's still blank in the final draft that you have as far as the start date.
Yes.
Because that'll be worked out between me and their general manager as far as when they finish signing the documents and they're ready to go. So we'll
Great.
fill that in.
Yeah, those were the concerns I had.
I just had a question. If in the future we needed, if there was an emergency and somebody had to cover, would they remain like an open contract as a,
Independent contract?
like, no, as a mutual aid type of thing? So that if something did happen, you needed more operators, or all the an operator was out of
An
town or
emergency
something.
calling all operators?
Right, the contract is open-ended right now.
It's just an open, yeah, that's what I mean, so. it
And
wouldn't
if
be-
we get staff, we could have a retain the contract and keep it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's all.
All righty. Linda? Oh, we've already done it?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, we kind of went backwards.
Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Fine. Agenda item number 10, discussion and direction regarding recruitment for city manager. Mr. Beardsinski.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, as I announced at the last meeting, I would be retiring on June 30th and trying to give you almost 6 months to recruit a new city manager and get him or her in place before I leave. The recruitment could be handled in-house or through an outside recruitment firm. I did obtain a proposal from Ralph Anderson and Associates, who did the recent recruitment for the Santa Barbara County Fire Chief. And I was very impressed with the firm. They had 6 high-quality candidates that were interviewed as part of the process, and the county just made their selection on the top-ranked candidate. This is going to be probably the most important decision you're going to be making in the upcoming weeks to get a new city manager in place. The benefit of a recruitment firm is that they have the ability to reach out to the governmental community and make sure that the job opening reaches as many good candidates as possible. They also provide a professional brochure, advertise the job opening, screen the applicants, arrange and assist in interviews, and negotiating the contract. So it's full service, and I think an outside entity is better suited than the council or staff on doing this, so you can have a little objective review of the candidates that are applying for the job. The City Council, along with the Human Resources Director, along with myself, would be the lead in the process. If a recruitment firm is selected, the City Council would provide the specifics to the recruitment firm as to salary and other benefits and what the City Council is seeking in a candidate. So if one is selected, I would propose at the next meeting we would have a closed session to meet with the recruiter and to have the recruiter discuss this job specifics and what they want listed as salary, whether it's depending on qualifications, etc., but get it fleshed out at the closed session, and then they can hit the road running on the recruitment process. The firm would, the proposal was $28,000, and what we did back in 2009 was $25,000, so it's still in the particular same range, and I know City Attorney Murphy has some experience or has some input on the cost as well, on what these firms usually run.
Sure, I would say our firm has not worked with Ralph Anderson and Associates, but the cost is well within normal ranges, probably lower than I've seen, which doesn't make them better or worse. It just tells me that they're well within tolerances for cost for work like this. What I've always liked, and I've seen this from the assistant city attorney perspective, but I've always liked having these outside people because they can vet sort of an initial list of candidates. You work with them to tell them what you want, but they'll run the initial lists of candidates, figure out who would actually fit what you want rather than getting a flood of resumes or maybe no resumes. Sometimes they're able to reach out to people and sell the job to a good candidate. Other times they can winnow down the list to you so that you're not getting people who are unqualified. So as I say, I have no experience with this firm, but having seen similar firms work in the past, I've been impressed with their results.
And the CEO of the county gives high recommendations to this firm, and that's one of the reasons he uses them for the fire chief position. We do have the money in the budget. It would just require a budget adjustment to cover the costs. And so we're looking at City Council direction on whether they want to retain the services of a recruitment firm and give direction on staff on how you want to handle this.
Thank you very much. First of all, do we have any questions for staff?
I do.
Councilmember King.
Why was there only this firm in here, Mark? Why wasn't there multiple other?
I've reached out to another firm.
Headhunters.
I reached out to another firm, but I haven't heard back from them as of the date of this meeting. A couple of the other firms, one we used before and we're not interested in using again, and so there's a variety of them out there, but I was very impressed, and I think this firm would give us a good quality selection of candidates. Like I said, I did reach out, but I haven't received anything back from the other firm.
Right. And they have a good pedigree. Obviously, there's a lot of people that they have recruited for different cities, but I was just concerned about why we only have one.
And I definitely don't want to go with the one we used for hiring our last city manager.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Open it up to public. Sue? No? Bringing it back to council? Gentlemen, I just think something this important that we could really use the help. I worked human resource and personnel for the Postal Service, and that was 20 years ago. And although I know that Linda is totally qualified to do just a bang-up job, I agree with our city manager that this is critically important to our constituents, to our city, that this is done right. And I think it would be really smart. It looks like reading their resume that they've had a lot of practice. You say mostly city managers and
fire chiefs, that's what they focus on.
And I think it's imperative that council is very, very involved in this too, that we don't just, let staff handle this. I think it's really important that we are very active in this search.
I would say, Madam Mayor and council members, again, just drawing on experience in the past, what I have seen is actually a closed session either every council meeting or every other council meeting to discuss progress until it's time for you to begin interviewing candidates, at which point, those will be special meetings that you'll do on your own. But certainly, you would be briefed more than regularly, and if you wanted every meeting, it can be done every meeting. In the first month, maybe every other meeting, but as you get closer and closer to your special meetings where you'll be doing interviews, you're going to get briefings all the time on this. It's too important.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, that we will have as many closed sessions as we need with the recruiter to go over their progress and what's going through. And just to reiterate, I mean, they will focus and give you a set of vetted candidates, but they will also show you the candidates that they've rejected, so you know what was out there, and you can, if you see one you might want to consider, it will be available, but they try to give you the focused list, but you will see everything, and that's in their proposal. Right.
Any other comments? Vice Mayor, I know you have some feelings on this.
Certainly do. I'm happy we're having a closed session. I don't want to move on this until we have had a closed session to have discussion about where we're going, because again, I said earlier, we're in a unique position. We can't just go out and attract more revenue streams for the benefit of our operating expenses. And it's not a matter necessary of a public broadcast, but I'm concerned, and I think we're like one meeting away. If we're going to handle it the next meeting, I'm fine with, let's deal with this at the next meeting.
See, I thought if we could make a decision on it tonight, then at the next meeting we could certainly give direction. If we decide to go ahead with hiring a recruiter, then at the next meeting we would go into closed session and voice all these concerns.
Okay.
And
I don't have a problem with that. It's that we are in the dark with what's going on.
Which is why we need to
And that's why I want us to talk about it. We have 5 councilmen. We hadn't had that for 10 months. The citizens deserve to have us leading the council, leading the city.
Absolutely.
And it's not been that way. And it's no one person's fault. We've all allowed that to happen.
Councilman Sanchez, any comments, thoughts?
Just a question, if we approve to hire an outside firm, are they on board to come be here the next meeting, and would that be the 14th of February?
They're there.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, well, I think if that occurs, I will talk to them, and they will have a representative to get the ball rolling.
And that would be for kind of to interview them too. If we have a if we planned a closed session on the 14th and would have a closed session the same day for that purpose.
Our closed sessions are usually right after the meeting, so, and it probably would take about a half an hour. Who knows? But it's important.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the sooner we get the ball going on this, the better. I mean, Solvang is still dealing with their interim city manager, and although Rick Hayden is a very experienced city manager, the mayor mentioned today that, it's hard to get anything done because you've got an interim city manager. Anyway. Gentlemen.
I think it's good to get the recruiter, and I was impressed by the number of quality cities. And when I travel, I always read the local newspapers, because then you find out what's going on. And I'm an avid reader, so it doesn't, I mean, and we've gone to Tahoe, we've gone to South Padre Island, Texas. I know all those towns. They're well run. So if these people have recruited those type of people to take care of those cities, I'm all in favor of using them. So I'm in favor of the agreement.
Councilman?
Are you looking at me?
Well, everybody's throwing their 2 cents in.
Well, here's my question, and I'm kind of getting a feeling of a little apprehension. Maybe this is a great question. Can we do closed session with a prospective recruiting firm, open it back up, agendize it for that next meeting, and then vote whether to take these people on or not?
Unfortunately, no. No, you would have to select the recruiting firm in open session without talking with them in closed session, because you can only go into closed session with them when they are working on the city manager hiring process. The retention of them as a firm is not something covered by the Brown Act closed session rules.
Gotcha. My other question is, in closed session, any of these concerns that I'm hearing on council, such as duties, responsibilities, blah, 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 what are we looking for? Could that be discussed in closed session with that recruiting firm? Should we hire them?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Ed?
Thank you, Ben.
Okay.
And this would require a motion and a second.
Described by staff.
I'll second.
This.
Go ahead. But I'll second it.
Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
I'm going to go aye.
Vice Mayor Andrusik. And
Pass.
Mayor
No.
Sierra. What was that?
No.
No? Okay. And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you. City Manager's report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We we received a proposal from Silvio for the video equipment, but Silvio does not do the videotaping, so we're getting proposals for somebody to do that.
I saw
So
him at
we'll-
Santa Maria Chamber, county office in Santa Maria, and he said that he had time for it, so I don't
So-
want to
We can
upset
hire a high
anybody.
school student.
Yeah, so-
Videos.
So anyway,
He has the contacts.
We have the proposal for the extra camera and upgrading the equipment, so we'll get that to council as soon as possible. We're not going to wait for budget, we're going to try to do it as part of this year, so, because we're having issues, staff trying to run it, and there's glitches, and so we want to get rid of that as well, so we will
Yeah.
bring that as soon as we can
Yeah,
get the...
we've monkeyed around with
Yes.
that. We're not professional.
There's two State of the Cities coming up. Solvang is next week on the 30th at Route 246, and the city of Buellton State of the City will be February 27th at the Flying Flags Resort this time. So that will be a little different. Again, next meeting we will have the salary survey on, so we will be able to discuss that. They just did a homeless count for the whole county on the 24th.
This morning?
This morning, yes. So as soon as I get the results back from that, but we gave them areas where to look at in our area to focus on, and I know Lieutenant Shui was involved in helping out on that.
Long day, Chief, huh?
Personally, I didn't go.
I just said coordinated, I didn't say he went.
Somebody's got a point.
He had his phone on.
It's a long day.
Anyway, that ends my report, and we have a closed session announcement.
Is everyone aware of the number of tons that they removed from the riverbed in Lompoc? I think it's in today's news press. Hundreds of tons.
493,000 pounds
Of
trash
Garbage
and debris
from the river.
from the river.
And the paint on the sidewalk for the school signs, did we have any?
Did you find out anything about that, Rose? Remember the crosses where the signs were?
They're not permanent paint, but it's water-based versus oil-based type spray paint. They're marking paint.
So when will they
be
disappear then?
soon.
Soon?
We're going to have
As soon as
staff
they
do
dig up
a little
the
extra
Thank you.
scrubbing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All righty, Mr. Murphy.
Council will now adjourn into closed session for one item of anticipated litigation as set forth more fully in the agenda. Thank you.